I don't get
Good morning, everyone. Let's get started. I'd like to call this meeting of the Columbia Economic Development Corporation Board of Directors to order. A busy agenda. Thank you for being here and thank you for your contributions to CEDC. First and foremost, I want to introduce our newest board member. His name is Gary Graziano, formerly of Valley Oil, formerly of Ginsburg, formerly of Colorusso, currently with Hudson Valley Resource Group and Hudson Investigative Service.
Security.
Yes,
Yes.
He's a busy guy. Let's introduce ourselves to Gary Graziano. I'm Jim Calvin. I'm with Calvin Communications.
Captain Piro, retired.
Sarah,
Brian Mahoney, the hospital. Doctor. Andy Howard, Corporation Counsel.
Riley Warren. I'm Rachel Puckett. I'm with Mid-Hudson Fiber.
Carla Drummer, president of Columbia Green Community College.
I'm Amanda Karch. I'm the executive director of the Workforce Development Board. Columbia Green County.
Rachel Levine, I'm with Hinkin Realty.
Justin Goldman, Bank of Greene County.
Christine Hens, I'm with Caldwell Banker Village Green Realty.
Brian Scott, Columbia County Board of Supervisors, Chairman of the Economic Development Committee.
Mike Malinsky, Malinsky Photography, and MWCD Architects.
Staff, Steve.
Steve Vandenberg, with CEDC on the loan portfolio.
I'm Martha Lane, I'm Business Development Director.
Chris Brandon has an development coordinator.
Live bookkeeper. Mr. Boucher.
Very good. Well, welcome, Gary. Thank you. Thank you. See, we've got a great lineup going into the baseball season. Good. Several board members couldn't be here today. One of them was Rich Nesbitt. And when I talked to Rich, he informed me he's going to have to resign. He has a new and additional business venture that he is tending to, and it seems as if the meeting for that business is always on Tuesdays at 10 o'clock. That's not going to align very well with this. So we'll thank Rich for his service and go about filling that seat. Any questions before we begin the agenda? Okay. We will start with 2024 operations and accomplishments. This is a form or a report that we're required to.
Jim, can you up on
The recording's paused.
there's no audio recording going on.
It's working on this end. I'll try to get it fixed on the recording's going on this end. It looks like the TV's frozen.
Thanks, Mike. This is a report that we're required to prepare and to approve every year by the state agency that regulates us, the State Authority's Budget Office. And I just wanted to review some of the highlights. It's a very impressive record, 1 year's worth of accomplishments in the areas of administration, small business loans and assistance, housing, and so forth. I just want to compliment the staff and the board for making this possible. Good work. I need a motion to approve the 2024 operations and accomplishments report.
I'll make the motion.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion's carried. On to the loan committee report. Chairman Ken Leggett couldn't be here today. Martha, and we asked you to review the loan portfolio.
You sure can. I went through this report in detail with the loan committee last week. Loan client A, there's no change. Loan client B, I'm happy to report they mailed 2 checks and they're not current on their loan. Loan client C, no change. Loan client B, no change. I'm happy to entertain any questions about the dashboard.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you. On to the loan applications for today. We'll begin with Showroom Hudson LLC. Steve?
Good morning, everyone. So this is Showroom Hudson LLC, a retail establishment located here in Hudson. The request of us was a $50,000 loan utilized for working capital. Those loans will be, that loan amount will be split between our two loan funds with a 72-month term, 7.75% interest. Monthly payment being $870.57. Again, a working capital loan, collateral being, of course, the lien on business assets and the personal guarantee of the two principals. This is Showroom Hudson here in Hudson. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sherman, this is the project in the pocketbook factory building. So it's part of the hotel, it's half of the building, and this is going to be a part of the office and retail rental space.
Loan committee recommended board approval. Anybody with questions or?
Are they online now? Or are they projected to open on a certain date?
Projected to open later this summer upon completion of construction.
This is for the offer. Which part of that?
It's a 70,000 square foot building, 35,000 square feet is a 40-room hotel. The remaining space was intended to be office and retail and some gallery space.
And this loan was.
This would be for one floor of the tenant. And it is, one of the principals is related to the people who are building the pocketbook factory. So it's good for a number of reasons.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make the motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. On to table.
Yes, Table is a restaurant here in Hudson. This is also a working capital loan at 7.75%. The collateral is a lien on business assets and the guarantee of the principal with an additional guarantor. The amount is $50,000. The payment is $870 per month. And this was recommended by the loan committee last week.
And Martha, this is the Grazing Diner?
No,
No? Which one is this?
Table is known as Little Debs.
Oh, a little depth.
Questions for Martha about that loan? Is there a motion to approve the table?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Move to the audited financial statements, which were prepared for us by UHY, which conveniently has an office downstairs. Nicole is here from UHY.
So we previously met with the audit committee last week. I went through the financial statements, pretty straightforward year. CEDC, we have a unmodified audit opinion, which is what you would expect. Results for the year were approximately 33,000 of net income. The organization was able to lend about 925,000 to local businesses through SBA and the CEDC loan funds. And you were able to collect about 644,000 in the loans receivable. That was also supported through an additional borrowing through the SBA of about $50,000 during the year. Overall, the audit went well. I'd like to thank management and staff for their support during the process. And we're ready to finalize these this week, and then they'll be submitted to the ABO.
There is one outstanding issue.
Right, the single one.
So the single audit, we have a few things we're working through to finalize that. So the single audit is your audit of the federal funds. So that is not due until September 30th. So the plan is to issue these financial statements without that, and then we would wrap that up soon after this meeting. We don't intend to, drag it out until September, but we do need a little extra time to make sure we answer some of the questions that have arose during the process.
And part of that issue was because we have now gone over $1 million last year with federal funding, that the audit had to be expanded, and they could not audit the same program that they had previously audited last year, which is the loan program. And because our other federal funds are really pass-throughs from the Office of Community Renewal with respect to the loans that we have made to organizations like Plankill Farm, the Return Brewery, those monies become a grant if they meet the requirements over a period of time. And so they are also considered their federal funding through the state. And the money we received for Columbia Forward and for the housing initiative comes through the county, but those are also federal ARPA funds. We believe that those are exempt from being audited because the county is auditing them, and that's one of the things we're working out with, reviewing with UHY. We just want to be sure that whatever program we audit to meet the criteria is one that's eligible for being audited. So, we're trying to, get that resolved, and we'll get that resolved by the next meeting.
Nicole, thanks to you and your team for preparing this audit report. I think that's it. No other questions.
I want to thank Nicole. She has been working on our account for a number of years. And also Kenny Sparrow and Steve Halak. They did a great job, and we are very appreciative of their efforts. And if there are no questions, Mr. Chairman, this has been recommended by the audit committee for approval.
And we'll dispense with the reading of the audit report today, and go right to a motion to accept.
Make that motion.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, if any?
And as we said at the audit committee, Nicole, please leave so you can build some other flags.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
On to our president and CEO's report.
Good morning. Going to page 40 of the packet. It's actually page 38 for the treasurer's report. Our total assets are up by $399,000. That's primarily the result of our loan fund increasing. And our liabilities are up because of the increase in funding from a year ago that we have taken down from the SBA. With respect to the P&L, last month I said 1 month doesn't make the year, 2 months doesn't either. But we did have net income of $20,000, which we had budgeted negative 28. And so we're $49,000 swing on the budget. The primary areas of we were $1,000 more in revenue than projected. The biggest item that resulted in the reduced expenses was our new initiative line. We budgeted and there's a greater swing there because we haven't committed those funds yet this year. And the only two areas where we're over budget is public relations and marketing. And that's because we divided by 12 rather than budgeted out the $5,000 commitment to the chamber, which we paid in January on a pay-as-you-go basis rather than dividing it out. So that'll pick up in time. And we did underestimate the amount of SBA interest. They had gone for years where they were charging less than 0.5%. During COVID, they charged nothing. And on that's our loan number 10, $750,000, they're charging us 2% interest. We're, as you observe, we're billing that out at 7.5 or 7.75. So we are making 5% interest on the SBA loans. So I think we're in reasonably good shape. We did discuss with Brian in his role as treasurer, and we will discuss further at the audit committee or the finance committee next month. My concerns about cash flow, and that relates to the fact that the SBA has been delayed in paying us. The county is paying us timely. And we are concerned about what the plan will be with the SBA going forward. It's not clear. There's no indication that the SBA microloan program is scheduled to be curtailed or not modified. But they have been delayed in paying us. and they have indicated to us that, the money is available. And they did request Martha to submit a request for additional loan money. But the new administrator did put out what was called a day one memo. And, there was some additional, discussion in the press in the last 2 or 3 days, primarily about the 7A program, not the micro lending program. We have a contract with them through June. We've not been advised yet as to whether we will have a 2025-26 grant agreement, which brings in $250,000 over the course of 6 months, and 6 months the following year because of a federal budget that's on the federal budget cycle, not the calendar year. But we're watching it closely. If we ended up where the program ultimately was ended, and we wrote it and we got paid back on the loans that are outstanding, and with the reserve money that we have on account, it's about $600,000 that would go to our bottom line. And because we've taken the interest from both the county loan fund and the SBA loan fund for the last 10 years, to the tune of about $750,000. We've increased the county loan fund to, it would be at $2.5 million, and it would be sufficient, large enough to be able to effectively and efficiently continue it, and it would just reduce the amount of loans that we could make. But again, you don't know from day to day what's going to happen, so I just wanted you to be aware that we're monitoring it closely. We're optimistic that it will not be changed significantly, but you see something in the press that concerns you, just give us a call, and Martha and I'll be happy to try to help explain it.
Anyone have further questions or comments from anything you close with the board? Yes.
The next item?
I need to get that approved. Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Jim and I have been working closely on the annual meeting. Riley Warner has also been helping us with preparations. We're pleased to confirm that we are going to have the meeting at the college. We're having an initial walkthrough on April 1st, and we're in touch with COARC, who provides the food service for the college, to be the caterer. We are continuing to work on speakers. We had several people that we were interested in, but our meeting is on a Tuesday in April, and with the state budget, in play and not sure it's going to be passed on time. And they were not elected officials. They were Heather Brachetti from the Business Council was one of the people we discussed. They're just not in a position to be able to commit because of the legislative session. So Jim and I do have some additional thoughts that we will be working on in the next week to firm that up, so we can begin marketing it. On our activities update, we're very busy. I'm going to pass on that because of the strategic planning discussion after this meeting. Our membership renewal is where we anticipated it to be. We are going to begin the annual meeting sponsorship letters this week. And if we could, Mr. Chairman, if there are no questions about other activities, I'd ask for a short executive session to discuss that.
Is there a motion to enter executive session?
Make a motion.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you. We have completed executive session and now on with our agenda. The strategic plan update will move to the bottom of the agenda. And there's a couple other things we need to do first. One is the consent agenda, and these are committee functions and reports that are required by the authority's budget office. Each committee is required each year to issue a report of discharge duties. How do you justify your existence? What have you accomplished? What have you done over the year? And each committee is required to approve their charter, which is a set of rules and procedures for that particular committee. And each committee is required to conduct a self-evaluation. Each member of the committee rates on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 to 5, how you think the committee did over the past year in several different categories. Also in the consent agenda is the minutes of last month's board meeting. Any member of the board has the power to request that one of these items be pulled out of the consent agenda for discussion if you wish. Does anybody have anything in this list that they want to pull out of the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Anyone opposed? That is passed. Mike, we need to decide, maybe we don't need to decide right now, but we need to discuss whether we're gonna need to have an April board meeting on the.
Martha would like to.
We do have a loan application in the works and we're expecting another one. And they do hope to be approved or not in the month of April.
Okay, the annual meeting at the college is on Tuesday, April 29th. We need you all there. And note that the starting time there is 7:30 a.m. And it includes breakfast and reports and other things that we need you there for. The April board meeting would be 1 week earlier, Tuesday, April 22nd. Give me an idea of whether all of you can do that double duty for the month of April. Anybody have issues?
I won't be able to do the 22nd.
Okay,
I won't hear it.
all right. So hopefully we can rustle up a form.
I believe,
for April 22nd.
years ago, there was a process where the board went into a session following the annual meeting. But it seemed odd because people were still hanging around and, everyone went off into a corner and held a meeting. So we would appreciate if we could, get 9 people and we can have an abbreviated meeting.
All right, then we will proceed with the April 22nd board meeting, 8:30 in the morning. And we will see all of you 1 week later, 29th, 7:30 at the college for the annual meeting of CEDC. Before we get to the strategic plan, anyone with any questions or comments or news to share with the rest of the board? Okay. Then why don't we oh, there you are.
We'll bring Michael back on.
I will try. The TV's gonna turn on for a second. I don't know what channel we'll be on.
You gonna watch Little House on the Prairie again? It seems to be on all day long.
Provided you can pull him up, is he able to unmute himself or?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry, I'm on. Can you hear me?
He can, all right. Good
Very
enough, he has in front of him and you will have slides in front of you. I don't know if anybody else is joining me.
Oh, yes. Keep on that.
But I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Allison Flack with the Economic Development Team at MRB Group. And for those of you who haven't met before, and Michael Indolo, our Director of Economic Development is on the phone. Yes.
We have a Little House on the Prairie showing, competing with your
Oh,
presentation.
you were kidding.
It was right. It's about to come out.
May you rest in peace. Or sleep well.
Thank you.
All of us.
Okay.
My Irish humor is.
Sorry.
So I'll get started while she's pulling up the slide. I know you have a very full agenda still. We look forward to showing you where we've landed to this point and getting your reactions about anything, big we might have missed or that really needs to be recharacterized. But I'm really just gonna step through the plan, as quickly as I can. As you know, the ingredients for this plan were really, being mindful of the data about your economic development context, getting board input via that questionnaire you filled out, as well as the last, strategic planning session during your last board meeting last month. We had several strategy meetings with Mike and Jim that helped us along. Your plan is still organized around, if you go to the next slide, 4 focus areas. We're calling them focus areas now instead of pillars. Sort of step back and recognize that pillars kind of imply equal weight, and what we really have here is a scenario where business growth reflects the really the mission and core responsibilities of Columbia Economic Development Corporation. And these other elements are really supportive of an environment for successful economic development in which CEDC plays a supportive role, an implementation partner role, or a convening and supportive role. So, but those headings do remain the same, so you'll all recognize those. And there's continuity in a few other ways with the plan as well. I mean, it's really at the same level in terms of, high level. It's meant to be a guiding document strategy that can carry you for several years as you evaluate year to year what your activities will be and how you're gonna allocate your resources and time based on activities and actions that make sense year to year. And go ahead to the next slide. I'm gonna take each of them in turn, and if you could, I mean, interrupt you need to certainly, but because some objectives and strategy elements may have moved compared to your last plan, generally want to maybe hold discussion until the end. So for business growth and for the others, we did some wordsmithing of that overarching objective you see at the top to try to be as faithful as we can to what CEDC's role is. So for business growth, CEDC will help new and established businesses succeed through targeted resources, direct business loans, and technical assistance. And we consider there to really be 2 sub-objectives for business growth. First is supporting entrepreneurship and business growth, and secondly, supporting new businesses and the retention of existing employers. So for the first, supporting entrepreneurship and business growth, we have 3 strategies. Provide the direct lending and technical assistance that you do so much of. Serve as a resource to businesses seeking additional loan funding, grants, and other support and assistance from local, state, and even federal assistance. Third, to assist and support Columbia County businesses with a focus on the county's strengths in micro business, agriculture, tourism, manufacturing, and the creative economy. So there's a couple of places where we really help recognize those as unique drivers. For the second objective of supporting new businesses that are coming in and the retention of existing employers. First, the action serve as a one-stop business resource center to assist and support businesses. Assist businesses that are planning expansions or undertaking relocation projects. CEDC is really the main, first point of contact. And assist existing employers with growth and retention challenges as they arise. And refer existing and prospective businesses to external information, resources, and CEDC partners. So think of the ESD regional offices. I'll go on to infrastructure, the next slide. For infrastructure, we said CEDC is an implementation partner. So this is really that you're supporting the efforts of the public sector primarily, and also other partners as they work to improve the county's infrastructure. And we divide this into 2 objectives that are sort of 2 different types of infrastructure. So the first objective, promote the need for adequate infrastructure and utilities to accommodate business expansion and growth. First strategy item is to complete that universal broadband access that you've made so much progress against, but also focus on improving cell service throughout the county as the next important item there for connectivity. Secondly, working with stakeholders as they look at water needs, sewer needs, power needs, transportation infrastructure needs, et cetera. So we're working with them as they assess and address those needs, and to do so consistently with local zoning and community standards. So we've used that phrase a couple times in the plan to recognize that community development objectives are important in the context of CEDC work. Promoting adequate sites to accommodate industry expansion and attraction. the way we articulated these strategies is that CEDC will explore opportunities for additional commercial and industrial sites. And that often that could take the form of looking at repurposing existing commercial and manufacturing structures. And secondly, that it would be valuable, we discussed in our smaller strategy sessions, if CEDC would develop and maintain an inventory of available buildings and land from owners who have listed those properties for sale or lease. We're gonna move on to quality of life and sustainability. This is where housing lives now, by the way. I've lost track of where it used to be, but we really think it's about quality of life and sustainability. You could argue that, but CEDC will support efforts to enhance the livability and vibrancy of Columbia County's communities while fostering environmentally sustainable economic growth. I think we heard you in the last meeting that needed to be stated, the sustainability dimension. So first up, housing. Help shape the housing market to meet the needs of current and future residents with a focus on attainability. We say strategy-wise that you'll continue to focus on the affordable housing crisis this year by raising public awareness of the economic benefits of ensuring multiple housing typologies across your communities. And the second strategy is about your toolkit, leverage the land bank, the IDAs, and state grant and federal grant resources in areas where there's suitable zoning and supportive infrastructure that works for residential development. Second objective under quality of life and sustainability is to leverage the creative economy, agribusiness sector, and tourism as unique economic drivers and strengths on which to build. First strategy, collaborate with business owners and entrepreneurs in these targeted sectors to identify opportunities for new projects and expansion projects. Secondly, support businesses in those sectors with direct loans and technical assistance, along with helping them secure and implement state grants. And we call that foundation grants as an area that might be somewhat untapped. But that folks really come to CEDC and lean on you for CFA assistance and guidance and things like that. And thirdly, engage arts and cultural not-for-profit organizations in creative economy and tourism initiatives. Those will be led by others, but supported by CEDC. And third, enhance the vibrancy of local communities as destinations for new residents and visitors. Because we talked about how one of the biggest opportunities you face is attracting more population. Support businesses and local governments in advancing Main Street revitalization and vibrancy. That's your downtowns, but also your hamlet downtowns, et cetera. And do that through infrastructure improvements in the Main Street areas could be part of that. Secondly, protect the county's natural resources and environmental assets by encouraging local comprehensive planning and smart growth. And support your municipalities in pursuing brownfield redevelopment. And finally, last but not least, workforce and education. We really tried to take care here to recognize what CEDC can and can't do and how it can be most supportive of, as the headline says, aligning workforce development and education resources with business needs, so that you're going to be a supporter and facilitator and trying to optimize that alignment. First objective, partner with existing workforce and education partners to address the needs of businesses. And we say it that way to recognize that some people want to hear workforce training or workforce development. You've got workforce trainers focused on certificates, community colleges, trades, maybe things like that, and education partners that represent the K-12 pipeline and other kinds of higher ed. So strategy one, provide easy access for business owners and nonprofits to the county's existing workforce and education resources. And we list your local partners there that serve your residents here. Secondly, promote educational and workforce training initiatives. If your partners are undertaking initiatives that are aligned with developing skill sets that your employers need, CEDC should amplify those and try to get more folks in the door into those training seats. And under the second objective, which we say is to support the workforce needs of the businesses that are here. CEDC will engage with regional workforce development initiatives, so possibly outside the county boundaries, like on-ramp. It's going to be set up in the capital region to strengthen the talent pool for Columbia County businesses. Secondly, support initiatives that remove barriers to participation in employment and training opportunities. We called out supporting, you know, the development of more childcare options as an example of that. It was just meant to be just that, an example, anything that really, you know, smooths the way for people who have less opportunity costs when considering, you know, getting that new skill or certification or taking that job. And the last thing, advanced discussions with partners about a potential county-wide work sharing system that matches part-time positions that might work with each other at different employers in the county. This was an idea that came out of this room, just, so you know, I did kind of poke around. I don't see any really direct analogies as models that are being undertaken here, with the exception of places with a lot of seasonal employment stuff, try to match across seasons. But that could be a unique thing that, again, CEDC is not likely to make sense of the lead for, but could start, the dialogue going in terms of how that could shape up in Columbia County. Okay, thanks for letting me blow through all that. Jim and Mike, do you want to add anything about what we're looking for the board at this point?
Yeah, I think we're looking to see, what have we missed? As an example, Sean Sawyer, who can be with us today, is in the city, reviewed it and came back and indicated that, he felt we had not sufficiently highlighted the role of not-for-profits and particularly arts and cultural organizations. We've also realized that we need to, in our business services area, further enunciate what we do for the county under Columbia Forward, so that the county isn't reviewing it at the supervisor's level and saying, what about us? You know, it can't be the kitchen sink approach, but we do have to highlight, you know, some of the other areas. So, you know, and are there things that we're saying we may, or that we're doing, or we may plan to do that you think as a board we should either adjust our role in it by increasing it to putting it in the business growth lead role, or whether it is something we should put in one of the other subcategories or not do it all?
This is what Sean Sawyer said specifically. He said that the draft plan reads very well. I like that it's concise and the graphics are professional. But to make clear that nonprofits are key economic drivers in the business growth section, should the language be business and nonprofits wherever possible? And that's an intriguing question that I don't know the answer to. And also in the quality of life section is a picture of Lake Taconic. I was thinking maybe it would go on. I think that's very good feedback.
Of course he did.
So comments from the board on, all right, let's start with Amanda.
The last bullet point about the work sharing, well, you know, I know we started talking about it and I think that there's some potential. I think the idea of that from a workforce perspective could also be problematic for a lot of reasons for the people that we serve. So while I see that businesses could potentially benefit from it, for folks who are interested in that, you know, we have to really enforce full-time benefited positions with family sustaining wages in our system when we put people into training. So while I don't think it's a totally off the table idea for our customers who might be interested, I don't know if the amount of work that we would put into it would be so high that it necessitates a bullet point in the strategic plan, if that makes sense. So that was really the only thing from our perspective, is kind of, since you'd be assisting us with our initiative, this is probably not something that would be a huge initiative for the workforce development system, especially kind of in this state that where we've had a lot of customers really needing a lot of support lately. A lot of folks, while our unemployment rates are low, there's a lot of folks really underemployed in the counties right now and struggling because of the other barriers that, you know, are addressed here, that I don't really think it would be beneficial for us to promote this to them right at this point, especially when they need things like the healthcare and the, you know, the childcare subsidies. So I think it'd be probably more on like a 1-to-1 basis if someone came in that situation and was looking for some suggestions. But as a large scale initiative for the board to support, I don't know if it would really be something that there'd be enough time to support that.
Just to read between the lines on that for a minute, you'd be the key partner. The
Yeah.
CEDC would be working with,
And-
and you
yeah,
would
and
support that. So
Yeah,
why would we
not
want
as a major
strategic plan as a
initiative.
major
I think
initiative?
if someone came to us and was looking for something like that, we could definitely connect with you and the businesses who could be supportive. But to put a whole infrastructure in place might really just not be as much time as, I think our time could be served in different ways.
Anyone else with thoughts on that?
And I think a key partner saying they probably
Yeah.
can't get behind it. It'd be difficult to keep it in the plan.
I think we're gonna strike that, bullet. If we find the opportunity to,
But it was Michael Johnson who brought it up,
Yeah.
right? And he's not here, so maybe circling back with
Yeah.
him as we take it out of the plan, so he's aware of the discussion. and
Yeah.
the
And I do think, every once in a while, we have someone come in who could benefit from this kind of a suggestion, so it's something that we can work into our conversations, but I don't think it's something that we would advertise based on the needs that we're seeing currently. I mean, if that changes, obviously, I would come to the board and have it go.
good, Rachel.
Yeah, I see some places in here that are touching on, what I feel is most likely solar. And, there's a lot of communities in Columbia County right now that see solar farms as a threat. And it's in the news enough, it's in Copake, it's across the river in Athens. We are experiencing it in Germantown right now. And so I see under business growth,
Page or the reason, like.
on page 3, just the first, there's a few places and maybe you can talk me through it so I understand and I just want to understand if it's big business and solar. So the assist business planning, expansion and relocation projects. On the next page, infrastructure, work with stakeholders to assess and address needs for water, sewer and power. And then below
So we
the,
did say consistent with local zoning and
Yeah.
community standards.
Yeah.
Meaning that if the town said no,
yeah, I
we wouldn't
understand.
pursue it.
Explore opportunities for additional commercial and industrial sites, including repurposing existing commercial, And then on the next page, on 5, down at the bottom, the second from the last, that's protect the county's natural resources and environmental assets by encouraging local comprehensive planning and smart growth. Want to understand what smart growth is, and then support municipalities in pursuing brownfield redevelopment. That's definitely like solar precursor. So I just want to call those things out because I'd like to understand what our opinion is on solar farming and how we're getting behind it and where we're involved. Because until recently, I didn't know we were even kind of involved in helping businesses or guiding that.
Well, certainly, the Board of Supervisors passed a resolution, directing, the IDA, which CEDC administers, not, to support any, financial assistance to, Hecate and Copake. Because unless the town requests that we do that. The issue, with the 5 megawatt or less solar projects, which we've discussed. They are exempt from taxes. Unless the municipalities that have taxing jurisdiction insist that they enter into a payment in lieu of tax agreement. There's 6 or 7 projects where the developer has given the taxing jurisdictions, the town, county, and school district 60 days notice that they're going to build a project. If the taxing jurisdictions do not stand up and say, we want to get some payment for that, they don't get anything. Obviously, each town has a planning board that would review whether, and many towns in the county have solar zoning codes. They would determine at the town level whether those whether the proposed project would meet the standards of the town. Then, as a second check on home rule, if the project was approved by the planning board, the next step would be for them to submit the pilot application to the town. Then the town board has an opportunity to determine whether they're going to approve a pilot. Without a pilot, it's very difficult for a solar developer to build a project. Because it's not really clear what, how an assessment would impact their taxes. The only role that CEDC has is the county has asked us to coordinate the administration of pilots once they're entered into, to be sure that each of the taxing jurisdictions that have agreed to it get paid. The concern was that, and the county board of supervisors policy position is they will not approve a pilot unless the town planning board and school board have, approved the project, and in the case of the school board and the town, approve the pilot. So we have a very small administrative role to be sure that they get paid, if they have agreed to enter into an agreement.
Yeah, I think the issue I'm having is from all of my education on being on the zoning board and planning federation education. And then seeing what's happened in our town, this, this boilerplate law came from NYSERDA during COVID. It was introduced into a lot of towns. People didn't know about it because the town halls weren't open. It was not reported in the paper. The small communities don't do a great job of being transparent about what's going on. And now we have laws that allow solar farms in farmland, in residential farmland, residential ag, as realtor, that's concerning to me, but also in protecting the comprehensive plan of our communities and maintaining those resources. And it's a real threat right now. If you've been paying attention, if you haven't, Google it, it's all over, and it's a real threat in Columbia County. And the issue I have with having this kind of language in here, I feel like we're saying we support it on a big level, and
It's not intended.
If I may, the illusions of power by no means. limit
it's just
control
there,
or
there's
even-
like not that much in
Well,
here.
the issue we have,
Consent
the issue we have
from-
with power is, we don't have three-phase power where businesses need three-phase power. There's
Yeah.
a woman in Germantown who bought she makes clay pottery, and she bought a machine for her business.
Yeah.
Without finding out that she couldn't run it because.
I mean, the truth is, they don't even know if the power that's in place will support the farm, that our planning board has.
No, but this is,
So all the planning boards
this is
will
not,
approve
this
it.
is not solar power. This
Yeah.
is the power from National Grid.
Yeah.
They wanted to do a digester plant in, at the Williams Farm up, in Stuyvesant. And, right now they're spreading manure all over, which DEC is not happy with, because it's gonna affect the water table at some point. So they wanted to, and they have what, 6,000 cows there or something?
3,500.
3,500. So we tried to work with National Grid, and they don't have the ability to get natural gas to the plant. So those are some of the, when we're talking about power infrastructure, we have not encouraged solar. We have only worked, and we can tighten this up to be sure that we're not.
I would just love, in the training that I got, there's other regions in the state that have community action plans. They've come together as a region. They've introduced it to communities in a really positive way, in that they're promoting residential solar before they're promoting solar farms, and you introduce it to a community and you educate people about it. And I would just love if we're gonna include the brownfields and solar, because we are calling it out, and then it looks like we're supporting it. And it sounds like we're supporting it. I would love to kind of do that community action plan and do the work that needs to be done to educate people and to educate the town and the town board members about what they're voting on with solar.
That's the bullet point about encouraging, if I may, local comprehensive planning and smart growth really is about encouraging the municipalities to have those regular comprehensive plan updates that I don't know what the status of all the towns is, but those are where some of those dialogues should be taking place to set the vision for community development, and following that, implement zoning regulations that reflect whatever the views of that municipality.
I would love to
are.
be able to give, we have the
And
power
smart
to
growth is
do
the
that.
opposite of what you're talking
Well,
about.
but yeah,
Smart
to
growth
give,
is
to give the
not-
power, because what happened was in our town in 2017, we got a grant. We hired someone to come in, we did the SWOT analysis, and everyone in the community said it was a threat to our community. And the next year, when the comprehensive plan was approved, someone had added in a line saying that we're permitting solar farms. And that's not at all what the community promoted. So anyway, educating communities about it is
I
important.
guess one thing we do is we work with the county planning department because they run all of the training programs for the town board and town planning board members. We also send out emails that we get, we forward them to the town supervisors that we get from the Capital District Regional Planning Commission, which hosts educational activities. I don't know that we are really able to be set up to actually run those ourselves. We can market them and share them with people. I think we'll get a little heat from some supervisors about encouraging comprehensive plans.
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I think, Rachel, I think you're just looking at it through a lens where you're finding what you want to see. I disagree with just looking at all the bullet points and thinking solar. Like when I see a brownfield redevelopment, I think, okay, there was a dry cleaner here and there's chemicals in the ground, or an old gas station, stuff like that, and repurposing buildings to make them usable again. Like I don't see solar here, solar there, which I do agree with, solar's a problem, but I just think you're just reading too far into these, a lot of these points. I don't think it was as open as what you thought it was.
We're not intending to advance solar, but I guess taking it the next step, what would our role be in providing information to the towns with respect to training, so that they can make the decisions that they have the legal responsibility to make?
Yeah, I mean, just to be clear, I'm completely in support of alternative forms of energy, solar. And if you start getting into it, if you were seeing what was going on in towns, you would see that all of this verbiage is actually like the same verbiage that supports big solar farms. So that's my sensitivity.
Okay, so
It looks like we're promoting, I just wanna, I'm calling it out because I wanna be clear on
That we're
what
not
our,
promoting,
what our,
yeah.
stand is, because.
I think the big issue is, with the state
It's
legislature.
industrial.
They passed a law that overrides all local zoning with respect to
Correct.
projects over 5 megawatts. And I think the other issue is there is a county, is it a commission? Clean Energy Commission or Clean,
It's a task force.
it's a task force. And we've provided some information and support to them, and
I just think we should be supporting the farmers also, like, for example, the solar farm that's going in Germantown, and many people have pointed out. This is land that was farmed a year ago, so they're not supposed to be putting solar farms on anything that is less than 5 years. It's supposed to be, ground that can't be farmed anymore, so there is no enforcement on that, and there really is no guidance, and,
Well, that's
So if we
that's
wanna
where it needs
get
to
in
come
it-
back to the local planning boards, because that project in Germantown, not only was it from last year, it's on soils of statewide importance.
Yeah.
So I completely agree with what you're saying, but it
Yeah.
needs to go back to the planning boards in the.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure
local
we're
Training, that they should be
training.
saying no to these projects.
I agree.
And I don't think that's CDC's place to be training the planning board.
No, but like, what does smart growth mean, I guess, because smart growth is a real.
It's about
like,
density, it's about doing your development where existing infrastructure is. Solar on rooftops would be an example of smart growth when it comes to where you're gonna install solar.
Yeah.
I think where we were coming from.
I just like, if we're saying smart growth, we should define it, and that's like, obviously a conversation.
I think one of the
for a different
issues was
time.
not
It's a big,
everybody taking 5 acres of land in the county and creating a business. that's not smart growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want density, you want, and, you know, with the very limited, water, sewer, gas, electric, and broadband at the same location issue, there's 6 sewer districts. You know, you go up Route 66, and, you know, you have a PT center, which is on a 5-acre parcel, you have a dialysis center on a 5-acre parcel, you have, you know, they should all have been in a planned unit healthcare district.
So Rachel, we've been taking our cues from the county.
Yeah.
Currently, the practice here at CEDC is if Jim Calvin calls and says, I'm looking at putting up a solar farm in Kinderhook. And I'd like to get a pilot, can you help me? CEDC says you need to go to your town and get approved. And once you're approved, yes, we can talk with you about the possibility of a
We
pilot.
can only talk about the process, because the process is to present it to the Board of Supervisors to review and approve. And, I mean, we're you know, I suppose if the town hadn't approved it, I don't believe the county would go ahead and approve it in this home rule model.
No, the county has taken a stance in previous projects where, we respect the local municipality, and if the town disapproved it, the county would follow. I feel confident the county would follow suit.
So, would you be comfortable with a policy statement by CEDC that does not appear in the strategic plan, but just
Outlining what we do.
states clearly, here's what happens in the event of a proposed solar farm that lands on our desk.
Yeah, I'm for the first time being on this board, a little at odds of like, we're supporting big business. All, it comes down to like big business, farmers, small business. I see so much about small business because I'm on the loan committee, because that's so much a part of what I feel the CEDC is, and all of a sudden it feels like maybe I missed a bigger message that was there, but just not,
But we've got $75 million of projects that we're managing through the city of Hudson IDA. $30 million hotel at the Elks Club, $10 to $25 million housing project behind us. So we do support our business, but I think the problem was someone at a town board meeting said that CEDC was giving out pilots for solar, and that was not true.
well, no, the attorney at the meeting said the CEDC was writing the pilot program,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
besides.
But I mean, but if we have a
Yeah,
policy.
besides that, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure we're addressing, if we're putting in our strategic plan, smart growth. If you look at larger communities, those are buzzwords that are important, and they're actually end up being political, which I don't think we should be. So I just want to be smart
Yeah, no, I
about.
think,
what
but I
we're-
think Jim's idea is, once we set this up, establishing some policies.
Yeah.
Would give some direction from the board as to,
Yeah,
what-
I think
what we
those would be
meant.
good discussions for us to have and be a part of, because I'm not sure.
Well, I think that, the New York State, home rule, is the ultimate, protection, and we did get in trouble a couple of years ago where we came out in favor of a project, because, at the, gas station, at Bluebell. Or is it, not Bluebell?
Bell's Pond.
Bell's Pond. We kind of learned the lesson that, until a town board approves it, we're often asked to go to a town board meeting and speak on behalf of a project. So that's not our job. Our job is to help you implement it once you get the local approval. But if we can set up some policies that assure the board that that's the role we play. Then
I just think it would be smart right now, considering, these are things that are
We had
pretty relevant.
about 4 years ago, when we had that problem with Old Town.
That's where I'm at, yeah.
And then we stopped and we decided, we're not gonna give any pilots out to them. But actually, that goes more through the IDA. I don't know how much more through CEDC. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike.
Well, and, pilots are not allowed for retail, so we got out of it easily, but there could be times where we might not be have a easy out.
I think, well, and I think that discussion is really interesting, but I also think that, you know, the public plan, that language is important. So language that we understand being on this board, if they're, you know, the jargon is kind of misinterpreted publicly, that's something at the end when all the tactics and strategies are put together to look at, because that can be confusing. And then it's just extra explanation to the public where our intention and the work that we're doing is being misinterpreted. And that's with.
And this is the focus group.
Yeah, that's what comes with tightening up, you know, even if the intent and the
Well, maybe-
tactic doesn't change. it may
Maybe
be
better than
words.
promote smart growth,
Right.
promote density.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's,
Right.
it's some language
Yeah.
just can be confusing when you're, you know, if you're at a planning
Sure.
meeting and you hear one thing and you look at it one way, and then we're looking at it a different way, and then it's confusing.
Jim's
to
first
everybody.
comment to me was that we need to get rid of the economic development jargon here.
Yeah.
And this is,
It's easy to just forget that, like, we know what
this is,
we're having a
uh,
conversation about, you know?
Yeah, I think I have a couple ideas.
Yeah.
So we'll attempt to rework the business growth section so as to avoid any unintended interpretations of what we support.
and I guess, you know, from a perspective of what we do, you know, yes, we've supported 244 small businesses with small business loans over the last 10 years, which is 10% of the businesses in the county. But, you know, we have a list of 30 multi-million-dollar proposed projects that people are pursuing throughout the county, and, you know, if 10 of them succeed, it'll be a lot. You know, usually it's 1 in 10, so you'll get 3 or 4 projects, but you know, we have a restaurant in Kinderhook, we have the event space in Philmont. There's not going to be any development project in the county or in any community that someone's not going to be opposed to. And so I guess, you know, we'd have to get a sense of the board as to, you know, our feeling was that the default was if the town doesn't approve it, we won't help them, but if the town approves it, that we would give them guidance and support. But this is good.
Other comments, questions, suggestions on this draft of the plan?
I think Sean's right about the not-for-profit, about 18% of the county's workforce works for not-for-profits. And you know, the state controller just put out a report about the economic impact of not-for-profits. But not-for-profits are arts, culture, healthcare, education, social services. I mean, there's a full gamut of it, but we touch them all. You know, certainly art and culture in the tourism arena, the healthcare, and social services, and childcare, come into play there. And with agriculture, we do work very closely with, Todd Erling at, Hudson Valley Agribusiness Development. It's a 7-county organization. We're also active members of the New York State Farm Bureau. We just had their annual conference up in Albany with the legislature. But we do want to start to see, I know Martha has some clients, small farm clients. But, you know, we did help with farmers that were interested in getting the $250,000 grants for migrant housing. So, I mean, I do think that we have to emphasize farming and agribusiness more. But, you know, it is certainly been on our radar, things that there are examples of projects that we've assisted with.
So I'd like to set a goal to come up with a new draft based on the feedback we've received here this morning, and get that draft back to you sometime next week. We need to land this thing so we're ready for the annual meeting, but it has to be right, and let's make sure we get it right. So the goal will be that by the end of next week, we'll have to the board, another draft. And I'll need your immediate and, complete feedback, honest feedback on that, so we can move forward. Anything else to bring to the good of the order?
Do you have something else?
I never invited Michael to weigh in. I assumed you would have interrupted me, Michael Andolo. Well, never mind.
Here we go.
So, no, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
No, you're on.
Unmute you, or
He's
wait
not,
for
problems
him.
all right.
Yeah,
Or
no,
turn
I'm,
your volume off.
it's okay. Can you hear me now?
What, we still can't hear you, hold on a second,
Hold on,
All right.
right now.
There you go.
Go ahead,
Okay,
Mr.
can you
Romine.
hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. I'll just offer, if it is helpful to the board, Tioga County hired us to do a solar policy document that is for the benefit of their individual municipalities. They just hired us to do an update of that. We'd be happy to share it with the board, and you could pass that along to your communities. It's sort of like a cookbook. Here's what you need to do with solar. Here are some policies. We're taking what NYSERDA does, but we're adding a bunch of information to it to make it even easier for the communities to implement the policies that they want. So if that's helpful and it helps address some of these issues, we'd be happy to do that.
Terrific, thank you.
This is not going to be the end of these discussions because we had a conversation about 5G. We've had a conversation at the Board of Supervisors Committee on battery storage facilities. We've had conversations about smart meters in people's homes. And I think, we have an educational role. But, again, in so many areas, because of the nature of home rule and the relationship we have with the county in terms of our funding and our engagement with them, partnership. We do rely on the local governments to guide how we operate.
Good. Okay, any others?
No, thank you so much.
Thank you, Allison and Michael. We appreciate all the work you've done on this. Is there a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you.
One of the things that we have an issue with is,